Hi everyone, this is Fahad Mirza and I welcome you to the channel. We are continuing our coverage of this really good TTS model Orpheus TTS. In this video, we are going to fine tune this Orpheus TTS on a custom data set by using Unsloth. Unsloth is a library which makes fine-tuning LLMs, TTS and various other model types in various modalities quite easy in lesser memory with hardly any degradation. Unsloth also enables you to fine-tune these models mostly on commodity GPU. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use Google Colab's free T4 GPU, and I will also drop the link to this notebook from Unsloth in video's description. If you don't know what this Orpheus TTS model is and how to get it installed locally and then how to play around with it, I have already done heaps of videos on this Orpheus in the last couple of days, where not only you can fine tune it, you can use a GUI on top of it, you can also use it on CPU if you don't have a GPU. But as I said, for the purpose of this video, we are going to fine tune it on a custom dataset which is available on Hugging Face. For this purpose, we are going to use this very famous Dragon Fox's Elise dataset, which is quite performant, and I will also talk a bit more about it. Now, when we say fine tuning a model, what we mean is that we primarily change this Orpheus TTS model to accomplish a specific task. And a text-to-speech model primarily converts textual input into spoken audio output that enables systems to vocalize text with natural-sounding, human-like speech. Orpheus TTS is an advanced llama-based speech-language model which is tailored for generating highly expressive and empathetic speech, supporting zero-shot voice cloning, guided emotion control, and delivering low latency for real-time usage. So we are going to fine tune it with Unsloth, and as I mentioned, fine tuning is the process where an existing pre-trained model is further trained on a custom data set that allows the model to adapt specifically to particular voices, accents or emotional contexts, which improve its accuracy and application. So let's get started. Let me take you to my Google Colab. If you're also looking to follow along, just go to colab.research.google.com, log in with your free Gmail account, and then click on New Notebook, go to Runtime, change runtime type T4 GPU, and save. And let's start by installing some of the prerequisites. Now, if you look here, we are just installing the prerequisites like Unsloth and few other tidbits. But if you look at the last one, it is installing the Snack. Snack is a tool or library which is often used for audio or waveform compression and coding. It can also be employed in audio related tasks such as compressing audio data before feeding it into TTS model, and that is why we are also installing it here. All the prerequisites are done. Next up, let's download our model. So you can see that I'm just downloading this Orpheus model in 4-bit quantization, and that is what makes it compatible to this free GPU from Google. Otherwise it won't be possible. So really good stuff from Unsloth in that terms. And the model is almost downloaded. So primarily this whole code is loading the Orpheus TTS model into our GPU, preparing the tokenizer, and then ensuring low memory consumption by quantization in 4-bit, and also setting it up for further fine-tuning or inference tasks, which we will see shortly. And the model is now loaded. Next up, let's do something interesting. So if you look at this code, what is happening here is we are setting up low rank adaptation or LoRA adapters for fine-tuning the model. That significantly reduces GPU memory consumption and training times. When we say LoRA adapters, so instead of training all the parameters in a model which is expensive and memory intensive, LoRA freezes original model weights and introduces small trainable adapter layers on top of that frozen layers or weights. This typically updates only about 1 to 10% of all model parameters. That allows for efficient, lightweight fine-tuning. So these commands, These are specifying our model, which we already have downloaded. Then it is specifying R is equal to 64. This is defining the rank or capacity of these adapter layers. Larger values like 64 provide more expressive power but slightly higher cost. And then we are specifying the target modules. So this is primarily telling us exact modules or weights within the original model to apply LoRa adapters to. Typically, these are the attention projectors and feed forward layers. Then we have LoRa Alpha 64, which scales the initial contribution of LoRa adapters. LoRa dropout is just 0. So it means that this is a dropout which is being applied on top of those LoRa adapters for optimal RAM efficiency and performance. We are not specifying any bias here, so which also optimizes the resource efficiency. And then we are enabling this gradient checkpointing, which is also and by using Unsloth method, and that is why we are getting it from fast language model. As you can see, we have imported it from there. And then we are defining some random seed values for reproducibility. We are not specifying any loft queue, which is another LoRa variant, and we are disabling the rank stabilized LoRa or RS LoRa here. So let's run this. So up till this point, our model is ready. For fine tuning, you need two things: a model and a data set. So model is done. Next up, we need to specify data set. If you remember, I mentioned that I'm going to use this Elise data set. You can use any data set of your choice, even your own custom data set. But make sure that your data set follows the required format, which is if you just scroll down, you see audio and text. This should be the column. And if you have multi-speaker, you can also go with that. But for that multi-speaker, you would need 3 columns: a source column, a text column, and an audio column. So if you have that data set, just make sure it follows that format and you are good to go. So I'm just going to go back to my notebook and then get this data set here. So it is going to download this data set. So let's wait for it. It's in Parquet format, which is a common format for the data sets. And the data set is downloaded. Next up, Unsloth has provided this code to prepare the data set. Let me give you a summary of this. And primarily, this is a tokenization function. This won't really change if your data set format is same as the one in this Dragon Fox's Elise data set. Now, what is happening in this data set is not really that hard. So let me explain. So this code is preparing the audio text data set for fine tuning this Orpheus model. First, by tokenizing the audio. So if you look here, it is loading the pre-trained snack audio tokenizer, which is a snack underscore 24 kilohertz, this one. This tokenizer is transforming the raw audio waveforms into numerical tokens. So this is a raw audio, right? So you see, these are all raw audios. This is where snack is converting it into numerical tokens, because model doesn't understand these waveforms. The model only understands numerical values. And then it resamples audio to 24 kilohertz and processes it to obtain discrete audio tokens or codes. There you go. Then it converts each audio waveform into discrete token using snack. Then it appends these audio tokens or code list here into the data set, replacing raw audio fields. So whatever code it has generated, it is replacing it in this data set. It is then filtering the data set by removing examples without valid audio tokens to ensure data set consistency. That really improves the model fine tuning or training. And if you're also looking to do a fine tuning or even base training, make sure that your data set is of high quality. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out. Anyway, and then it is removing the duplicate frames. So primarily it is optimizing audio token sequences by removing repeated frames and by compressing token sequences and improving training efficiency here. And then it is combining text with audio tokens. So primarily, if you look here, all it is doing, it is formatting textual prompts alongside special tokens to prepare inputs for TTS fine tuning. So it is also indicating the start and end of human AI utterances or speech segments. And then it is creating this input IDs, labels, attention mask fields, which are used directly in the model training. So the resulting dataset retains only the necessary tokenized fields like input IDs, labels, attention mask, which is really efficient for this optimal fine tuning. So let's run this. And this is where it is processing it. So let's wait. Shouldn't take too long. And our data set is now ready. Next up, let's set up our training. Now, if you look here, what we are doing, we are setting up the training process by configuring the trainer and all the associated arguments. And it's a very common Hugging Face trainer which we normally use. And these are all the training arguments. Let me quickly run this. So we have just initialized it. So I'm just going to start the training and then I will start explaining it so that we will save some time here. And in order to start the training, all you need to do is to run this command and it is going to start the training for us. So while it trains, let's talk a bit more about these training arguments. And you can see the training has started and the loss has started coming down. So I will let it run while we talk about these training arguments. Okay, so let's start from the top. So you see in these training arguments, we have specified the model which we have downloaded. We are giving it the dataset which we have also downloaded and processed. And these are all the training arguments which control this training. This per device train batch size is a number of sample processed at the same time on each GPU. And then this primarily defines how many examples like audio text pairs your GPU will process at the same time. Lower batch size reduce memory usage but make training take longer. Smaller batch size like 1 are often used if you're limited by your GPU's memory, and that is why you might have seen that in every Unsloth training this will always be 1 so that it will fit on our 1 T4 GPU. So this is a poor man's parameter, I always say it. Anyway, so gradient accumulation step, which is 4. When your GPU memory restricts large batch sizes, gradient accumulation helps simulate bigger batch sizes. So for example, here 4 batches, each with one example, are processed separately and their gradients are summed together before a weight update. Essentially your effective batch size is 1 into 4, which is 4. And then we have warm-up steps, only 5. So at the start of the training, the learning rate gradually increases from 0 or a low value to your regular learning rate. This slow ramp up in early training stabilizes the learning and avoids any erratic training behavior. Max steps is equal to 60. So it limits the training to exactly 60 total updates or iterations. And this is just for sample purposes. If you are doing a fixed length training, then use this. But if you're doing a real world one, then set this epochs to something, maybe 2 or 3 or something like that. Now, then we have learning rate, which determines here how large or small each update step is during training. A higher rate moves the training faster but may become unstable, and a lower rate is slower but usually safer. And then we are specifying some precisions. So these settings primarily enable faster training and lower GPU memory usage by using lower precision numbers. So FP16 is 16-bit precision floating point number. BF16 is another lower precision format that has been optimized for newer GPUs. And then we are just checking if it is supported or not. We are using some logging just which prints out training metrics every after step like loss speed, which you can see here. And then we are specifying our, you can see this is a weight decay. So weight decay regularizes your model by penalizing excessive larger weights, so which help prevents overfitting, leading to better generalization on new data. Optimizer is at ODMW. So optimizer is a method used to adjust your model weights to minimize error. Adam W_8-bit is an efficient optimizer that partially uses 8-bit calculations to make the optimization step faster and less memory intensive compared to the standard Adam W. Okay, and then we have this scheduler type, which is linear here. It gradually decreases the learning rate in a consistent way through training that leads to smoother training towards the end. Then seed is this, which ensures the reproducibility. This is the output directory where your fine-tuned model will go, and then we are not doing any instrumentation or observability at the moment. Otherwise, you can send it to weights and biases or WAN-DB if you like, or there are other avenues too. Anyway, it seems while we were talking, the training is completed, and you can see that as the training is progressing, loss has come down a bit, which is quite good. Training is done. Now let's do the inference with this model. I'll just go down, sorry, just to make sure we are in the right cell. There you go. And now it's a big code. So this is for inference, by the way. Now don't be scared with this code. What is happening here is that this code is taking this textual prompt, which is, hey there, my name is Elias and giggles, and I'm a speech generation model that can sound like a person. So it is taking this text prompt, it is generating corresponding speech audio from the fine-tuned model. So it is preparing the prompt here. So it receives user input prompt in a plain text. It adds appropriate special tokens indicating speech structure like start of human, end of text, and all this stuff. And then it is using tokenization and padding, so which is important, and pad sequences to a unified max length that creates a tensor that prepared for inference on GPU. And then model is generating the output with the help of some of the hyperparameters, as you can see here. And then we are post processing the audio. So we are only extracting the generated audio token. We are also removing the special tokens from that audio in order to avoid any noise. And then we are converting audio tokens back to the correct numerical format using token mapping offset. Then the audio is being decoded, and then we are playing it back. So let's run it to see what happens. Let's wait for it. And there you go, our audio is there. Let me play it.
Hey there, my name is Elise, and I'm a speech generation model that can sound like a person.
I didn't hear the giggle. Let's play again.
Hey there, my name is Elise, and I'm a speech generation model that can sound like a person.
Okay, so giggle is not there. There is a hint of something, but that's not giggle. Anyway, maybe we need to fine tune it further. But look, as long as you have your data set, you run in a full training for number of epochs, I think this should work very well. Finally, you can use these commands to save the model locally, or you could just use these commands to push it to Hugging Face. Either in public or private repo, you would need a write token, which is a free token from your profile in huggingface.co, so that you could write it there. That's it. Let me know what do you think about this. Hopefully it was useful, not only in terms of this notebook, but also all the concepts, which was my primary purpose of using this notebook from Unsloth, to make sure we understand what exactly is happening. Because if you understand it, it makes it easier to fine tune this stuff on your own custom data set. If you're interested in other TTS model, including Orpheus or fine tuning with other tools other than Unsloth, just go to my channel and search it. If you like the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're already subscribed, please do me a favor and share it among your network, as it helps a lot. Thank you for watching.